Why does the moon not resent the sun? Or put the other way, why does the sun not resent the moon? It may seem like a silly question. But it's a question I've been pondering, and I feel like it's just as valid a question as why does man not resent woman? Or why does woman not resent man? Both of these could be powerful questions to ponder. What I'm pointing at is that they're just simply two sides of the same coin, two parts of the same whole. How absurd would it be if the moon was mad at the sun or upset at the sun for some reason? Or if summer was pissed off at winter? Or if the fall didn't like the way spring was or how spring looked? I realize these are like metaphors and natural forces, but I think we can learn a lot about them when we're pondering our own polarities and dualities in life. What if it could be that? What if it could literally be as simple as the sun and moon, as summer and winter? What I'm pointing to, of course, is the masculine and feminine energy. And this transcends men and women, but it happens to find expression inside of men and women. So I've chosen to align with the sun and moon for now, seeing as it's been a supermoon, blue moon, lunar eclipse, and the tides here in San Diego are just surging today. I pose this question like a Zen koan, or riddle, a puzzle, a paradox, to awaken in the mind an understanding that the either-or mentality, the oppositional mentality, it's useful. We may dance in it. We may gain energy within it. We may even choose to accentuate it or exaggerate it. However, in the end, the sun and the moon are two brothers, both serving the same land, serving the same people, and serving the same whole, which is nature. They're parts of the same whole. Distinction and this and that, either or, is very powerful for drawing boundaries and for delineating things, creating order. However, to get stuck in that boundary and to bring in resentment, I specifically chose the word resent, to bring in resentment for the boundary or to create a violent opposition, a tension, this is where the disease of the mind is. And this is where all of the negative emotions and afflictions that I know I've experienced, and I imagine you experience as well, come from. And it's as easy as realizing this to escape them and re-center and re-harmonize. No one's gonna freak out when the moon's out and suddenly think that the sun will never come up again, or that the sun is the one that should be out right now. If the sun only burned, the planet would dry up. We would all incinerate. And likewise, if the moon was only out, we wouldn't have fruit and vegetables. We wouldn't have life. The plants couldn't grow. They wouldn't live. It's the same way with men and women, with masculinity and femininity. It's the same way with love and hate. There's something magical that exists between the pair of opposites. And the secret for me is flipping them, understanding that when you take away one, you empower the other. When you belittle one, you lift the other. And there's this like swing and this balance that happens. And it all happens inside the mind. There's no real reason. There's no real qualm. There's no real What am I trying to say? The essence is their relationship. It's not in the poles. It's the relationship between them. And so of course the moon doesn't resent the sun. How could it? How could it? For me, this is such a great topic, hearkening to nature, and this is something the ancients did very often in stories and myths. I'm reminded of the Egyptian myth of Ra, the sun god, and Set, his brother, who rules the night. And their war, their struggle. There's a theme in a lot of these stories where the ruler of the night, the ruler of the underworld, the moon, resents and tries to usurp the sun. And it's always an allegory of teaching and learning, because in the end, even if he succeeds, he throws the world into imbalance and chaos, and the other gods and mythological characters have to work together to bring it back into balance. For me, a lot of these stories, reading them, it was all about realizing that duality is necessary in this reality. And so it's more about bringing the two poles into balance than banishing one or the other. These are just some of the thoughts I've been having this super moon cycle, all of these stirrings and awakenings that I imagine many of us are experiencing as we feel so heightened and so charged, just as the ocean is right now, and just as nature is, watching animals, how they can feel it as well. So I invite you to join the conversation and share this video with your friends if they may have been living in a world where duality is law, and the accentuation between the poles has become about one versus the other, Republicans versus Democrats. I'm right, you're wrong. Yes, we should agree with this. No, we shouldn't. Instead of the relationship between them and this ebb and flow that the sun and moon are the most obvious example of. And if you're in a romantic relationship, that might be the next most obvious example where there's a lot of energy. So I invite you to explore that energy, explore that relationship, explore those poles, and notice what happens when resentment leaves the equation, acceptance enters the equation as you realize the two sides are creating life. Even good and evil, which are just concepts in the mind, even good and evil are mediated in the same relationship. I love you all. I wanted to share these thoughts with you. Really good time to go inward and harness your own gifts. Share them with the collective. Share them. That's what I'm going to continue to do. Thank you for being with me on this journey.